Hello, everyone. Kill Bethelot here. Going to continue with the dating after Watchtower series here. And one thing that even after Watchtower, I never really had a problem doing, and that's interacting with the public, talking to people. It's not just being used to going door to door every weekend from the time you were little talking to strangers that does it, but it's also personality mixed with that. And while I was out, I would just talk to people. I joke around. And there was a girl who worked at a gas station. One of those gas stations where it's a little cubicle and you go up to the person, you let them know what pump you're at, how much you want, so on and so forth. And I go up to her and I was joking about something and she's in there laughing and there was no line behind me. So I kept chatting with her. I kept joking. She kept laughing. And eventually, after we finish our little conversation, I go back to the car to pump gas. My friend is in the car. And my friend is like, "Do you know her?" I said, "No." And he said, "You were up there talking to her for a while." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, I was just joking around with her." And he was like, "She is cute. Did you get her number?" I was like, "Nah, I didn't even ask for her." And this is where sometimes it's good to have a friend with you to kind of push you to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, because ordinarily, personality-wise, and I don't know if this is true for a lot of XJW coming out of the cult, ordinarily I talk to a ton of people. Ordinarily I talk to really beautiful women and have no problem doing it, but I would not then ask for a phone number or take it further. And my friend said, "Nah, you gotta go. You talked to her that long. You need to go back over there and ask for her number." And you gotta understand that during the flow of a conversation, it's easy to ask for a number, but to talk to somebody, leave, and then come back is kind of odd. But hey, walking up to people and giving them watchtowers is kind of odd. So I said, all right. I went back and said I forgot something. And she's like, "What?" Because she's kind of looking around on the counter like, "What did you forget? You didn't leave nothing here." I said, "I forgot your number." And then she starts laughing. And long story short, she gave me her phone number. Not only did she give me her phone number, she came out of the cubicle and walked around and gave me her phone number. And I'm a, former JW. I wasn't playing by any rules as far as, okay, she gave you her phone number, don't call her for 2 weeks type stuff, or don't call her for 3. No, guess what happened? I was with my friend, got her phone number. He was like, "Cool." And went over his house to watch movies, listen to music, do whatever. And while he was busy doing something and I had a minute, I called her right then on the phone, and she picks up and we're talking. And this is the first time I really got a chance to have an actual conversation with her, because before I was just joking and she was primarily just laughing. So I'm having a conversation with her, asking her, what is she interested in? What do you like to do? What kind of goals do you have for yourself? And this is, in my mind, this is what you're supposed to ask a girl. You're trying to get to know her. And you think she'd ask you the same things because she's trying to get to know you. And the vibe I'm getting over the phone is, this girl is kind of talking kind of ratchet. You know what I mean? She kind of talking like she from the hood. And she's like, every time I ask her a question, she would kind of giggle and be like, "You getting deep with me?" And I'm like, "That's getting deep. Asking you what your interests are is getting deep." And she said, guys don't usually get deep with me like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, eventually, so we continue this conversation for probably about 25 minutes to 30 minutes. My friend comes out and he's like, oh, you got her on the phone? I was like, yeah. He was like, cool. And he goes and sits down and plays his game or whatever. And she eventually is just dumbfounded by me asking her all these questions and showing interest in her. This is a beautiful lady. Like she was dark skinned. Like her skin was the color of my she was dark skinned, just gorgeous. But what was coming out of her mouth was different. And eventually she gets confused by me asking her normal questions. And she flat out says, so you want to bleep or what? She uses the F word. Like, she's like, okay, guys don't normally ask me this many questions. And then she's like, so you just want to F or what? And I'm like, no, I'm trying to get to know you. I'm trying to, see if you want to go out later. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what in the world? So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, she doesn't know any better. She must be from the hood. I'm from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. And like the hood and whatnot is not that far away. Dayton is not that big. The hood is not that far away from middle class to upper class. In some areas, the upper class, nice houses are a couple of streets away from the hood. So I'm thinking, okay, she's from the hood or whatever. And so I say, let's go out. And she said, okay, well, I'm not busy on such and such a day. I don't have to work. And I'm like, all right, I'll pick you up, say about such and such a time. She said, okay. And so I get off the phone. I tell my friend, okay, so I got the date set up. And he's like, good. He's kind of like coaching me almost. And let's fast forward. Beautiful girl. We're both in our 20s. And now, outside of I know that she's gorgeous and laughs at my jokes, now my mindset is, oh man, I'm about to drive into the hood. Like, I'm about to drive into the hood to go get her. So I drive to the address, and this is one of the nice streets in Dayton. It's by a seminary that I like to walk at. As a matter of fact, it's a nice street. It's not far from the hood, but nothing is far from the hood in Dayton. So I pull up, park my car. It's a house. It's not even an apartment. It's a house. I go up to the house, knock on the door. She comes and answers, and she's like, come on in. I'm almost done getting ready. So I come in, I have a seat. She goes to finish doing what she was doing. And then her dad comes out. Her father comes out. So her father comes out, and she's like, oh, this is Marcus, and he's taking me out. He's the guy I told you is taking me out tonight. And her dad was a dad. He was a regular dad. He didn't say nothing. He just looked at me. And my appearance, I was dressed the way I thought I should be dressed to go on a date. I had nice shoes on, dress shoes. I had button-up shirt, nice pants. I mean, I was dressed up, basically. I was dressed up. I didn't have no tie and suit jacket or nothing like that. You know what I mean? I had my shirt loose and stuff like that, but I was dressed up. So her dad just looks at me. He didn't even answer her. Gives me the stare. She goes to finish getting ready. He comes over and sits next to me and just says, where do you work? So I told him, where I worked at. And he said, tell me a few things about yourself. And this wasn't a friendly conversation so much as this was an interrogation, which a dad should do. A dad should come down and say, who is this taking my daughter out? I'm about to find out as much as I can about him. And, I'm speaking to him, and fortunately, I'm used to talking in crowds. I'm used to talking in the public. So I was nervous, and I was able to hide that nervousness and just speak to the man and say, hey, I have a job. I would just like to take your daughter out to dinner, and then I'll just bring her right back here. And, just told him a little bit about myself. He wanted to know where I went to school. Pretty much, trying to see what type of guy I was. Do I have a job? Did I finish school? What are my future plans? Am I going to go to college? Like that sort of stuff, which a dad should do. And this is why I was so confused. Why is your daughter ratchet is what I wanted to ask the guy. Why is she talking on the phone like, do I just want to blank or not? When you guys have a nice house, she has a father in the home. He cares. He came out and spoke to me very eloquently. He's obviously concerned about her. And basically at the end of the conversation, he's like, okay, you guys go and have a good time and just don't be out too late. And then he goes back into his room and does what he does. I didn't meet her mother. And so we get in the car and we go to the restaurant. And the funny thing is, Jehovah's Witnesses, other people that I knew from Central, I believe, or Salem, one of the other congregation, were at the restaurant. They knew me, but they didn't know her. And what Jehovah's Witnesses normally do, if they haven't seen you in a while, this is after Bethel, I'm shell-shocked to a certain extent. Sometimes I don't even feel like I can go to meetings, because when I would go to meetings, I'm sitting in a chair, listening to a person get up on a platform and say things about Bethel I know are not true. The person on the platform ain't never been to Bethel. Most of the people in the congregation ain't never been to Bethel. None of them know this is a lie. I've been there. I worked there. I know he's lying, and he don't even know it. He's lying. And I couldn't stand to sit here and listen to the garbage that they were talking and telling people at the Kingdom Hall. So sometimes I couldn't even go to meetings. Normally, if a Jehovah's Witness has not seen you, they will avoid you like the plague. That's what would have happened if he saw me at the restaurant, and let's say I was there by myself, or I was there with another person they hadn't seen at the hall for a while. But I was there with a woman, a particularly gorgeous woman, and so they were curious. They came around. They came out of line to come over and talk to me and start off with the how are you, how have you been stuff, which they wouldn't have asked me that if I wasn't there with a woman that they thought was attractive. And then they went right into, who is she? Where'd you find her at? The way he said it. Where'd you find her at? And you got to understand that his desire to have a woman like that overrode the natural JW culture, which is to just shun anybody that you hadn't seen in a while. So he's used to, the only women he's used to are the women that are at his hall. Or if he goes and visits another hall that ain't that far away, the women that are there. That's all he knows. That's his whole world. I'm able to go out and just talk to people and try to converse with whoever I relate to. So he was almost stepping out. He was showing a willingness which is what a lot of JWs do, to step outside of their cult, church, for a person that doesn't know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses, but step outside of that in order to date somebody who's not a Jehovah's Witness under the guise of, okay, I'm just going to try to convert them after the fact. But the reality of it is there's nobody in their little tiny religion for them to date. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't that big. And if you're only allowed to date other Jehovah's Witnesses, sometimes you don't have very much to choose from. And so long story short, yeah, that's how beautiful she was. The Jehovah's Witnesses even came over and started talking to me when I ain't even been to the hall, is how nice she looked. And, so I just told him, I met her and we're on a date. I ain't hiding it. This ain't a buddy. We're on a date. And he's like, oh, and bye. And then I went over and we had our meal and talked. And then I get ready to drive her back. And this is something that happens to me a lot of times, is I don't know what it is that I say or do, but people open up. People open up to me. I could be in an elevator with somebody and just have a conversation, and before we get to his floor, he is opening up, telling me personal stuff. I don't know what it is that I do. We had our conversation at the restaurant. I'm driving her back home. I'm making sure, her dad is pretty big, I'm making sure I get her back at a reasonable time. And so I pull up beside the house, and then she just starts opening up about how people judge her based off her skin color, is what she told me. And she said one of the most offensive things, because I just tell her she's beautiful. I told her she was gorgeous. I never said what she says upsets her, and she says that people tell her she's beautiful for a dark-skinned girl. And I looked at her and I said, people say that to you? And she says all the time that people judge her beauty based off of her skin color. For someone of yours, so it's like you're beautiful, but you're dark skinned. For someone of your skin complexion, you're beautiful. And I'm just thinking, wow, and then she continues to open up. She goes to a AME church, I believe, and I knew what they were. Because some people I worked with went to AME churches. I saw one, it was pretty big, and a lot of them are super small. Long story short, she said that she is upset with the members of her church because they judge her and feel like she's doing things she shouldn't do, or that she's up to no good and what have you. And that they don't really know what's going on in her life. They don't take the time to figure out and find out what's going on in her life. And I completely understood where she was coming from. And, she opened up about a lot of issues that she has experienced. And a lot of that is, I'm sure, 100% true. I'm sure everything she said was 100% true. I just don't know if she realized that how she present herself, how she projected herself as ratchet for no reason, because she's got a nice house, apparently a nice family. I met her father. He's a good dad from what I could see. Ratchet for no reason. Why are you ratchet and you got a nice house and your family takes you to church and I don't get it. She didn't have any kids. And I'm thinking, well, I wonder if, being ratchet and projecting yourself that way may have something to do with how the people in her church interact with her. Being wild, essentially. Just being wild, presenting yourself as a wild person when that's not how you want people to perceive you. You want them to perceive you one way, but if you project something completely different, that's may have something. So I've dated a few women who present themselves as ratchet, and you think they're from the hood, and they're not from the hood, and they have no reason to be acting so ratchet. I don't know if they just listen to rap or where they're getting it from, but they'll act super ratchet, but then be super surprised if that type of behavior affects how people perceive them, and then treat them as if, yeah, maybe she's from the hood, and maybe she's just, she. I'm sure a lot of the guys that she's dated, because she said nobody really inquired about her as much as I did. Maybe a lot of the guys she dated reacted to her in a manner that she projected to them. She was the one that got ignorant on the phone. I didn't. She's the one. Okay, so do you just want to F or what? Like, she almost got irritated I was asking her questions. And that was the conundrum with her, is she wanted to act ratchet. Her family wasn't that way. Her house was nice. Yard nice little pathway, brick pathway going to the door and everything. The house was nice when you go in. But just wanting to be bad, basically, and rebellious, and it just doesn't make any sense. I might as well have been acting ratchet because we were probably raised somewhat similar. She was raised in the church. I was raised in a cult, but religion is so we're both raised in religion. We both had a nice house. I don't know why she was acting that way. But what ends up happening, which I think what happened with her, is she drew towards her the same types of personality types that she presented. And because of that, she wasn't used to someone who did not present themselves as ratchet trying to court her or trying to date her. And because of that, we never could vibe with each other, because she wasn't going to just stop acting ratchet. She was going to continue that. And I wasn't going to just become ratchet. Or just become hood or ghetto, and you're not in the hood and you don't live in the ghetto. And the funny thing about it is I've dated a girl who, she was from the hood, and I didn't know she was until eventually I got it out of her. Oh, you from the hood. Like, whoa, you from the trenches. But she was all about school, all about education, she loved kids. We'll get into that later. And you would never know she was from the hood, but people who's not from the hood and have a nice house and got a dad in the home acting all ratchet, but can't understand why they attract ratchet people when they end up pregnant, and they just can't figure this out. So long story short, we ended up becoming more friends because that ratchet behavior and acting all ghetto for no reason took away from the attraction. The attraction was just gone after about 3 weeks of that. And then it's like you're in a car with somebody that you're taking out, and you don't even see yourself with this person. Like she just wild. Comment down below, let me know what you think. I'm sure there's guys that probably try to change that person and or hope that they do change. And I've done that before. We'll get into that because these are different people. But this specific person, it was terrible. Talking on the phone was terrible because we couldn't have a conversation because she wasn't conversational. She's just, let's get on this phone, let's cuss and let's be sexually explicit. And then let's go out and just be wild is what she wanted to do. And I'm trying to date and get to know and have a conversation on the phone. And yeah. So that's how that went. Fortunately, I think she did get pregnant because I saw her with the kid once. I didn't see the guy. I don't know who she ended up with because we both lived in the same city. Dayton is not that big. So yeah, I did see her years later with the kid. I don't know who the dad is, or because we didn't keep in touch. But I didn't want it to be me. That's one of the reasons I don't. Why don't I have kids? Why don't I have baby mamas? When they clearly presented themselves as baby mama material, not wife material, not potential wife material. I didn't see it going anywhere, and things kind of cooled off. I didn't try to just, carry on. Okay, well, we have nothing in common, so let's just have a sexual relationship and just keep on doing it until you get pregnant. That didn't make any sense. So part of, and there's other people also that don't have kids just because of using just basic common sense. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. That was another experience dating outside of Watchtower. And I went to Central Congregation. Central and Salem were together at the time. Central right now, they done sold their hall because they've condensed. But they were on Gettysburg. I wasn't that far away from the hood, so it wasn't completely foreign to me for somebody to be that way. And I wasn't 100% judging them in the sense that, I don't think that they could change or be different. But I wasn't about to have kids with them. Why in the world would I have kids with a hood? Like, she's not hood, but she act crazy. Why? What would be the point? What would be the point? Some people might find that attractive. What would be the point of having kids with somebody you can't even have a conversation on the phone with? You explain this to me. All ratchet and all, Nicki Minaj before there was a Nicki Minaj. Like, why when you see that do you think, yeah, let's have about 5 kids and then I'm confused later as to why it didn't work? That's what I don't understand about some people. They date people. I know so I didn't have kids with the girl. But I know other guys, and hey, to each his own, you do what you do, but then it's on you once you do it. I know other guys that dated girls that was bad, rebellious, didn't have a single personality trait that made you think, yeah, this is somebody I want to marry in the future. And then they had kids with them, and then they complained later. You did that, and it was blatantly obvious. So, yeah, I ran into situations where, I talked to people and dated people, and it was just blatantly obvious that, yes, they're physically attractive. Yes, that part will work. But you ain't having no conversation. Don't know how it would work if y'all are getting married. She never spoke about marriage. Matter of fact, she never even spoke about marriage. It was just having sex was all she spoke about. But comment down below. Let me know what you think. Have you ever dated somebody who was not from the hood? They had their parents but they were, and this is of course when I was in my 20s, she was in her 20s, we was a lot younger, but they were ratchet for no reason at all. Comment down below, let me know what you think. 937-789-4029. Hey, you guys, and these are things again from years back. I'm not talking about people I'm currently dating or anything like that. I'm not talking about any of that. But comment down below, let me know what you think. X Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.